Now we're joined in studio by Dr. Mabungu Tracy Nelmondo to talk to us about this TBHQ. Doctor, thank you so much for coming into the studio. What is this TBHQ?
So, you know, it is quite a tongue twister because that's what it's meant to be. You're not meant to understand it. So it's one of the synthetic additives that are put in our food to preserve it. Because remember, big food industries make food and then they need to keep it in the shelves. So what do they need to do? They need to preserve it, and then that's what TBHQ is.
Okay. What danger does it pose to you and I?
Quite a few. Like it's one of those chemicals that have had research done on them, so we know what it is and what exactly it causes. But what's surprising is it's still in our food that's available on our shelves.
Yeah.
So it causes quite a lot of things. There's been research or articles written about it causing cancer. But then the big thing now, especially because we're coming into the winter season, all our immune systems need to be like geared up and everything. It actually causes or deteriorates your immunity. So it actually gives you a less chance to fight illness or the flu or the common flu.
In some countries, TBHQ is actually banned. What about here in South Africa?
Not really. So we actually sort of like have a lag, especially when it comes to like our constitution in terms of taking out foods that are harmful to us. In countries like Europe or continents like Europe, they're actually very advanced in terms of like looking up what it is that's in their food and what they kick out. But then South Africa and especially most of African countries, we don't usually have those policies in place.
Because we do need additives. That's the problem, isn't it?
We do need additives, but do they need to be synthetic and do they need to be harmful to us? Because remember, what's the point of having food?
Are they organic additives, though?
Definitely, there are organic additives, and then because remember, food, it's all about food preservation. And centuries ago, people have been preserving food.
Yeah.
Remember, like our grannies, they've been like preserving food.
You want us to go back to
generations.
putting salt and all those things?
Why
and
not?
Trying them
Why
out
not?
in
What's
the sun?
wrong with that? Not in the sun. They've been advanced sort of like dehydrators now that are less harmful to the environment and also our food. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I suppose there isn't.
Remember, like it's all about nutrition. We eat to be nourished and to feel better, not to harm ourselves.
Okay. What sort of foods is it used for? Is it mainly vegetables or
It's mainly your meats. It's mainly your meats because it actually stabilizes the fat, fat components of foods. So it's mainly your mostly meats that are in our shelves, especially processed meats. Especially if something needs to be processed, that's where they put it in.
Okay, so how does a person tell that they've been affected by this?
That's the thing. Do you know? That's the question that we should actually be asking. Do you know? But then there are some symptoms, a lot of that varied, from minor ones where people can get nausea, vomiting, headaches, and then more advanced ones where people won't even know, where you can even get cancer from it.
Now, Doctor, obviously this is all about quantities. What sort of quantities does one need to, to take before it actually starts affecting you?
I don't think we actually need to have it in our food system in order for us to say, okay, if you have 200 grams compared to having a gram, then it's better. It should just be in our food system, not be in our food systems, period. So that's why people need to...
But Doc, there's so many things that are bad for us that we inhale, we eat and so forth. We can't start looking at every single thing, surely.
No, we can. We can. Remember, like, if you are vigilant, because imagine getting an illness that you're not supposed to get just from the food you're eating. That's not, and then remember, we don't have cures for most of the illnesses that you'll be getting from the food. And then food is not supposed to harm you. It's supposed to nourish you.
So how does one avoid TBHQ?
Vigilance. You need to read it. Legislation actually requires every food manufacturer to actually stipulate what it is that they have in their food product or ingredients. So be vigilant in terms of ingredients. Read exactly what it is in the labels and look it up. We are in a society where information is very easy to find. Look it up, read it up, know exactly what it is that's in your food. Okay.
So this mainly affects the immune system. How does the immune system respond to it?
So your immune system has quite a complex mechanism. But then, just to be brief, there are certain components that are called T helper cells. And then, so that's where your immunity sort of like it gathers everybody together to say, okay, we are in trouble now, and then you need to come and join the band and fight the flu, for instance. So that's what it affects. It actually affects your T helper cells, so they are not able to gather everybody together and call everybody to the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, besides TBHQ, the research has been done on this. Is this the worst there is when it comes to preservatives, or should we be looking out for others as well?
There's quite a few of them, plenty. There's a lot of information on the EWG group. If you go ewg.org, they'll actually tell you what it is that's in our food. And then remember, this food is not just about the preservatives, it's also what's sprayed on our food, like pesticides, herbicides, most...
You're
scaring me. No, please. You can still eat. You can still eat. No, you can still eat, because there are actually a few companies out there that really care about what goes into their food.
Yeah.
So glyphosate, have you heard of that?
Nope.
It's a weed killer, actually one of the biggest weed killers that exists currently. And then that's been found to cause everything from headaches to meningitis to cancers to everything. So that's the biggest one that we should be looking out for.
Yeah.
And then that's where the terms organic food and having organic food comes in as well.
100%. Now, Doc, before I let you go, we're heading into winter, or supposedly heading into winter. Everything's changing these days. What's your advice when it comes to the flu and getting colds and so forth? How can people avoid that?
So the common flu is everywhere. So actually the number one sort of like illness that we get during the season. I actually am recovering from one now.
Yeah.
So make sure that you take your vitamin C's in, because actually that helps with your, it doesn't actually prevent you from having flu, but it actually lessens the intensity of the symptoms and also shortens the duration of the period. And then get your probiotics in as well.
Yeah.
Your probiotics are your good bacteria that you get from mostly fermented foods as well. So
do flu shots work? Are they necessary?
Can I plead the fifth, or is that not something that we can do in South Africa?
There's no fifth in South Africa.
There's no fifth. What do we? It's the sixth or something.
Yeah.
So flu shots do work, especially in vulnerable communities. People who have had sort of like their spleens removed, patients who are elderly, and the young as well.
Okay.
But then also like just be vigilant on which flu shot it is, and if you really do need it.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for explaining what TBHQ is and the dangers of TBHQ as well. It's a preservative used in many foods. That's Dr. Mabungu Tracy Nelmondo talking to us, his medical doctor.